Chimchar, the chimp Pokémon, Monferno, the playful Pokémon, and Infernape, the flame Pokémon. Welcome everyone, I'm Exceptional, and I hope you are too. In today's video, we will be seeing how quickly I can defeat Pokémon SoulSilver, including the Round 2 Elite Four and Red Battle. Challenge rules are in the description. Can I just say how excited I am to have this little fire monkey following me around for the whole game? That, by the way, is a feature I absolutely love in Heart Gold and SoulSilver, taking me back to the days of Yellow. To me, it makes so much sense to have one of your Pokemon out and following you around. It may not be the most time-effective thing, but I do turn around and give them a little scritch now and then. In honor of the red Gyarados, I choose the nickname Rafiki for if Rafiki had a shiny sprite. Also, there's just something magical about the Lion King. You may also notice that we're on the daytime aesthetic right now, but that's gonna be short-lived. Like I said, I'm figuring these things out as I go. And like I said, here we are in nighttime. Now that I'm editing this, I might have found a workaround, but you'll find out next week if I did or not. A trend that I have noticed in my videos lately is that they are getting very long, over an hour sometimes for a solo Pokemon, so in this one I'm going to attempt to trim the fat a little bit. I know a lot of you love the longer videos, but I'm trying to cut back on the amount of time it takes for me to make each of them so that I can reinvest that time into bigger projects like collaborations, versus videos, or even projects in other games. As a fire type, we're able to absolutely roast through Sprout Tower, so I decided to do a little bit of additional training. This levels us up to 13 in preparation for our first gym leader, Faulkner. A big reason I tried not to overinvest in training is that at level 14 we evolve into our second form, gaining the fighting type. That would have put us at a type disadvantage in this battle. We unfortunately take a sand attack along the way, lowering our accuracy, but Pidgey is out of there with 2 uses of Stab, or same type attack bonus, Ember. We then get pretty lucky against Pidgeotto, getting a burn on the first turn. Buckle in, cause we're gonna be here a while. Pidgeotto is just gonna spam a ton of Roost. I'm still getting used to that physical special split, and Gust is now a special move. Its power won't be reduced by the burn, but Quick Attack and Tackle will be. I just keep spamming Ember, and the burn damage is definitely helping us out, eventually bringing down Bird Brains. After claiming our first badge, we now get to see that evolution that I just mentioned. You know, going from the chimp Pokemon to the playful Pokemon, I'm getting some serious Goku vibes here as well. Especially now that we gain the fighting type and immediately try learning Mach Punch. Heck yeah, I want Mach Punch. We're heading south and then through Union Cave next, where of course I'm going to be grabbing the Shell Bell again. The Shell Bell I feel is going to be one of those staple items in my SoulSilver runs. Having that passive recovery is so useful. On the other side of Union Cave, we're stopped by the first little bit of Rocket plotline. I won't be showing the Slowpoke Well segment in this video because I did show it in the last one. We'll be focused on the other Rocket plot in this video. As a fire Pokemon, you'd think that Bugsy would be a foregone conclusion, but I erred on the side of caution. That Scyther is actually kinda scary. Instead, I decide to face Rival 2 first. I've heard a lot about this rival being the most difficult one in the game, but I have yet to see it. Then again, I also have yet to face that Bayleaf. Tune in next week for that one with Piplup. I honestly have zero problem in this battle. Croconaw doesn't even hit me, going for a ton of Scary Face as I just keep using priority Mach Punch. One quick thing to point out is that you may have noticed that these stats are not updating in battle. The stats are live updated, but they are not updated in combat, and this is just a limitation of my technology in SoulSilver at the moment. Everything takes time. The reason I went after the rival first was to solve the Farfetch puzzle in Ilex Forest. This makes the Cutmaster extra happy with you, so you can run back to town and visit him at his house. Oh, wait, never mind, maybe it's not the Cutmaster, it's the pupil that gives you the charcoal. Well held, I have to get used to it giving 20% additional fire damage instead of the 10% from Generation 3. I know I just gushed about that Shell Bell, but hey, I like to have options. Let's check out Gym Leader number 2, Bugsy. I actually don't even bother with the charcoal, sticking with the Shell Bell for Bugsy. We just learned Flame Wheel, and oh yeah, Flame Wheel wins. It's actually funny because if we were holding the charcoal, we would have one-shot Scyther. Things to keep in mind for the future. Using our Stab super effective Flame Wheel, we're able to carve through Bugsy's bug types in no time at all. We claim our second badge with our sights set on Goldenrod. Once I'm there, I'm running a couple of chores like grabbing the bike and visiting the department store. This again is a big shift from me because the big department store in Fire Red is in Celadon. By that point in a playthrough, you have a lot more money to play with, and we are pretty broke right now. I decided to invest pretty much all of our cash into super repels. One thing I've noticed in this game is that it's actually fairly generous with recovery items on the ground. I was actually kind of shocked by the sheer number of full heals and potions just scattered around the world. With that, we're ready to challenge our third gym leader, Whitney. Because of our fighting type, I came into this battle feeling pretty confident. Don't worry, Whitney is definitely capable of an ego check. Stab's super effective Mach Punch just barely misses the one-shot against Clefairy, but we take her out with pretty much zero consequence. Miltank with Milk Drink and Attract though. Fortunately, our dual typing makes Rollout a neutral move instead of super effective, but Stab Stomp hurts a lot. Fortunately, with Mach Punch being a higher priority move, we are able to avoid any flinches from Stomp, but it still doesn't take long for Miltank to pick us apart. She did get a critical, and we did spend quite a few turns infatuated. Maybe this was just bad luck. I did wipe one more time against her, but in a third attempt, we will see victory. I hadn't been quite defeated enough to feel like I had to go get that extra level. Fortune favors us this time with our Stab super effective critical Mach Punch ending the battle. That's 3 badges. We move north to Ecruteak next. On the way, I am going to be stopping in the National Park to grab another item that I feel is going to be a staple in my runs. TM28 Dig allows me to teach one of my HM cheerleaders the move. This allows me a free and unlimited amount of escape ropes, but some things have changed in Gen 4. Apparently, you can't dig your way out of buildings as much anymore? Who would have thunk? Once up in Ecruteak, we have to go into the Burn Tower to unlock the legendary beasts. Otherwise, Morty just refuses to do his job. Oh my gosh, all of the absentee gym leaders in this generation. Rafiki, though, has once again absolutely zero problem carving through the rivals' team. It's again becoming one of those cases where I'm debating not showing battles unless I wipe in them or something. I'm not sure what the answer is here. There's so much to cover in this game. We follow the advice from the movie role models and we unleash the beasts. Oh, that was a bit too Yoda. Let's talk about our next gym leader, Morty. Alright, so Morty doesn't go very well initially. Flame Wheel is a physical move, so we're able to take out Haunter in a single shot. Then a second Haunter, okay, things are feeling pretty good. But then Gengar. Our Flame Wheel deals about half to him, but then he recovers with his Citrus Berry, then putting us to sleep, and the battle is over. 2 shots of Shadow Ball, and we are out of there. I'm gonna skip a couple of wipes and show instead when I left the gym because I remembered something. Just to the east side of Ecruteak City lies TM65 Shadow Claw. Rafiki's gonna be able to learn it, so that's gonna give us a super effective option against that Gengar. Back in the battle, and we're almost at that nasty Gengar again. This time Shadow Claw is dealing well over half, so this will be a 2-shot. Gengar misses Hypnosis, and the battle is ours. I almost trip at the finish line, switching back to Flame Wheel for Haunter and missing the 1-shot, but we aren't punished for it today. We collect our 4th badge, and this time before leaving town, I make sure to pick up Surf. Give it time, everyone. I'll learn this game yet. There isn't much to discuss in Olivine as we trek up the lighthouse heading to Cyanwood next. In my stream with Scott's Thoughts the other day, we were discussing picking up items that you don't really need. One thing I've noticed in this game is that I am not short of money ever. But, you know, shiny Stardust in the sand. What if I do need it? I do not. It feels like we've been cruising through gym leaders pretty effectively, but Chuck's Poliwrath scares me a little. I gotta say, that fear is well-founded. One of the things that surprised me most about his Primeape is the fact that it knows Rock Slide. Our dual typing is once again paying dividends, keeping that neutral. We also get lucky enough to get a burn on Primeape early, so his physical damage is cut. We can take him out, but then it's that big bad Poliwrath. I actually get pretty close to knocking him out, which was really surprising to me, but then Poliwrath puts us to sleep, and guess how that ends. Because we're snoozing away and no longer able to break his focus on those focus punches, he absolutely obliterates us. 2 turns, 2 shots, but he almost did it in 1. Wow, Chuck, you're looking different, buddy. That's actually because after a couple of resets, I left the gym to go do a little bit of training. My goal here was to get to level 36 because we're about to evolve again. Trust me when I say that Poliwrath absolutely bullies us. Something else happens at level 36 though. We learn a new move, Close Combat. This is a new one for me, introduced in Generation 4, 120 base power. However, when you hit with it, it reduces your own defense and special defense. Rafiki makes this move seriously deadly. We are fast with a base attack stat of 104, oh yeah. Let's get back into that battle. Chuck Log, Entry 5. First attempt since achieving physical perfection. Flame Wheel, now ultimately effective against Primeape. Close Combat, exposes weaknesses within ourselves while taking Poliwrath to half. After, Berry Recovery. Horseshoe falls from Poliwrath as paralysis sinks in. Rafiki Mach Punch, critical hit. Battle over. Simulation complete. Now with 5 badges and a secret potion in hand, we're back in Olivine giving it to Jasmine so that she can make Amphi better. Palu Palu and the entire room is bright and gorgeous. Now if only I could get the rest of the world to look like that. Since these badges are right next to each other, we can jump straight into our battle with Jasmine. For her Magnemites, I decided to stick with Stab's super effective Flame Wheel. I mean really, is there any question as to whether or not that's gonna one-shot? Flame Wheel does okay damage to Steelix, but this thing is a defensive wall. Oh, I kept that Horseshoe from Poliwrath, by the way, also getting the burn on the first turn. What the heck, let's just go for it, so I pivot to Stab super effective Close Combat, and Steelix is outta here. The sheer power of Stab Close Combat is getting me all kinds of excited, and leads me down a path that I would not normally have taken later in the run. With 6 badges in hand, it's time that we deal with some rockets. First, we have to go tickle the red Gyarados in the middle of the lake and tell Lance that we are good guys. Good gals. Yes, I do choose the female character in this game because it is marginally faster. Back in Mahogany, we go into the health food store to find Lance hyper-beaming fools. I'm just gonna sit here quietly while judging your ethics, Mr. Champion Sir, but sure, I'll help you with the bad guys. Once we're down in the underground layer, we're faced with a series of these statues. Each time you walk in front of them, they trigger 2 consecutive battles which are unavoidable. That is, if you don't progress to this middle section and defeat the scientist in order to disable the security system. That's gonna be a bit of a pain for Pokemon that are not equipped to deal with Magnemites. We continue past all the now disabled security measures down the stairs, meeting up with Lance once again. It's a fairly linear path leading us downstairs where Lance is again catching up with us, giving us a few details, I guess? What we have to do is go and seek out a couple of passwords. Unfortunately, having present knowledge of what these passwords are is not going to help us. We actually have to fight these trainers. If we loop around to the west wing, this guy with the Raticate tells us that the password is Raticate Tail, oh my goodness. And then the purple-haired rocket in the center potion with a Slowpoke will tell us that her password is Slowpoke Tail. Gotta give it to these rockets, they are great one-dimensional villains. The path then leads us to the door where we input said passwords and our rival just kind of shows up out of nowhere and then goes away. Yes, question mark, question mark, question mark, I am better than you in every way. We enter the room and oh my goodness, it's Giovanni? Ha ha ha, just kidding, it is I, Petrel, Master of Disguise, ha ha ha. Okay, credit where credit is due, I love that they gave a bunch of rockets some personality. We defeat him easily, and then we have to play a game of Catch the Murkrow. It keeps doing the puppy dog thing where it runs away from you and then looks back, going, "You coming?" Not my kitty cat Frankie though, he just looks back and goes, "Ugh, human, catch up, will you?" Murkrow then leads us back to the start where we get jumped by another rocket executive, Ariana. Lance comes charging back down the stairs, heroically saving us from a 2 versus 1, but really he was probably just upstairs getting Dragonite to kick people in the shins. 30 lashings with a wet noodle to you, sir. After the battle, we're then forced to knock out some poor innocent electrodes. Sorry fellas, it's for the greater good. The greater good. Once the electrodes are clear, we meet back in the center, Lance has a soliloquy, and we're parting ways. We're actually unable to continue the rocket plotline until we defeat our next gym leader, so let's jump right into our battle with Price. Price is about to have a bad day. He's the Ice-type leader, and we have not one, but 2 different typings that are super effective against it. Since he has a couple of water types splashed in, I decide to stick with the fighting side of things. Stab Close Combat deals with Seal, super effective Stab Close Combat deals with Dugong, and then Stab Super Effective Close Combat deals with Piloswine as well. Who cares about defense drops when you just outspeed and one-shot everything? That puts a 7th badge on our belt, so let's head to Goldenrod to continue that rocket plotline. The reason that we needed to defeat Price is because the first stop in Goldenrod is going underground in order to get a rocket costume. This just doesn't happen unless you have Price's badge. Let's just mark this on the timer. We're at about an hour, 4 minutes, and 40 seconds when we get our costume. Barely 15 seconds after getting our disguise in order, our rival pops in once again to say, "Hey, that's not your normal outfit. You idiot." Anyway, just up the stairs, as far as I can tell, there's only one additional mandatory rocket on the path up. We can then follow some incredibly loopy pathing around the desks to avoid the rest of the rockets on our way to the top floor. Here we find the director. "What have you been doing, my guy? Rockets have taken over." "Ha ha ha, it is I, Patrell, Master of Disguise, ha ha ha." "Oh, you got me again, you trickster." Okay, in all fairness to the guy, he actually does end up taking me out here. He has a full team of 6 of nothing but coughings and wheezing. In this attempt, fortunately, we get a burn off on wheezing before he goes boom with explosion, taking us down to about a third. More bad news after a couple of turns as one of the coughings then lands a poison. The Shell Bell does admirably, keeping us as healthy as it can, but it's just not enough. The poison damage ticks away and we take another reset. And a second, and honestly, almost a third. We get a razor-thin victory again because of a poison status. This does beg the question if it's worth going back to the Ruins of Alph to farm a couple of shards. You can exchange those shards for berries, and berries are nice. Being able to avoid poison, I think, would have saved us in that one. After defeating Patrell, we have to go back to the underground section, but this time we're focused on the south end. We now have the basement key, so after the Kimono Girl check-in, we can open up the door and head downstairs. This is where our rival is gonna barge in once again, but this time he's actually gonna battle us. I wonder if he's gotten any stronger since last time. Jumping ahead in his battle to Feraligatr, close combat fails to get the one-shot, lowering our special defense, also putting Feraligatr into torrent range. His stab super effective torrent boosted water gun against our -1 special defense takes us to 59 health, but that concludes the threat of this battle. We are simply too fast and hit too hard for the rival to handle. He is out of here. After defeating him and another rocket, we're faced with probably one of the most complicated puzzles in the game. Each of these switches opens up a different series of doors and we have to find our way through. Because we're dealing with Team Rocket, of course, the password is 1, 2, 3. Further into the basement path, we find the actual director and he gives us the card key, which he was allowed to keep. This gives us some VIP access to the other side of the radio tower. Where before, on the 3rd floor, we went up the other set of stairs, we are now able to open the door. We then have to face a couple of additional rockets on the way up, including another battle with Proton and Ariana on our way to the top. We ride the elevator to the top floor, and I wonder who awaits us up here. Why, it's Executive Archer, of course. Bad news for Archer though, even though his coughing ends up getting a poison against us, we're the fighting type. His Houndour and Houndoom stand absolutely no chance against close combat. This concludes the rocket plotline, so we can now continue with the gym challenge. It pains me just a little bit to not have the Ice Path music in this video, but I feel like we can skip straight ahead to Claire. That's because Claire is gonna be a problem for us. She's the Dragon-type trainer, and we've been relying a lot on physical moves up to this point. Her lead Gyarados is going to intimidate us at the start of every single battle, taking our attack down by 1 stage. This is definitely why I enjoy looking back and editing my runs. Something occurs to me now that I didn't think of when I was trying the run. I know where a white herb is. I'm so used to not having access to items like that because white herbs do not exist in Fire Red, or at least there's no way to obtain them. But as Kingdra wipes the floor with me, let's see what I figured out during the playthrough. Jumping ahead 8 resets and as many minutes, I've actually left to do a bit of training. We're coming back into this battle now at level 50. It is only 2 levels higher, but it does put us over another damage rounding threshold. Yes, these do still exist in Generation 4. Unfortunately, once again it seems that Kingdra's stab super effective Hydro Pump is just way more than our little ape can handle. Several more minutes and several resets later, I'm back in the battle at level 53. But I've also changed our held item to a Pecha Berry. That may seem like an odd choice, but Gyarados has been such a problem for us that I decided to go with Natural Gift. Natural Gift will deal damage based on what kind of berry you're holding consuming that berry. Holding a Pecha Berry will make Natural Gift attack with a 60 base power electric move, which is 4 times super effective against Gyarados, taking it out in a single shot. I then have no chance but to go all in on Kingdra, going for close combat and not getting the one-shot. Kingdra launches a smokescreen against us, lowering our accuracy, and unfortunately we do end up missing a couple, but somehow we also end up dodging Kingdra's shots. Full health, and with her 2 biggest threats out of the way, I just keep going for close combat. It is all in at this point. We do not miss, and we take them both out in a single shot. That was definitely our most challenging badge against the Dragon-type trainer. I hope that that's not gonna foreshadow anything in the upcoming league. I feel like it's important enough to show you the Kimono Girl Gauntlet once again. In my practice runs, I definitely encountered some trouble with this gauntlet, and once again, Rafiki is able to just smash through. Just like Torterra with Stab Earthquake last week, we're using Stab Close Combat to rip through the Kimono Girls. I still even have Shadow Claw, which I switched to for the Espeon. Gosh, I really wish Close Combat had more power points. Talk about an exercise in using your PP effectively. After showing this gauntlet though, I am going to be skipping the entire section in the Whirl Islands. Like I said, I'm trying to trim the fat in these videos a little bit, and if I give myself an excuse to talk, I probably will. There actually isn't anything of note all the way until we hit the Pokemon Leagues aside from that one rival battle, but again, I just one-shot him entirely and it's over, so let's instead just jump straight into the Pokemon Leagues. Will is the tip of the spear. Our moveset has honestly not changed that much since evolving into our final form. We're now rocking Close Combat, Natural Gift, still have Shadow Claw, but we've also upgraded to Flare Blitz. Generally speaking, I avoid moves that have recoil damage, but I thought that with the Shell Bell, maybe it would make up for it. We actually aren't gonna find out in this first battle against Will because super effective Shadow Claw just rips his team apart. I was a little bit worried about our ranges against Slowbro and Exeggutor, but no problem at all. Aside from the beefy Slowbro cursing after we hit her the first time, you get a one-shot, and you get a one-shot, and you get a one-shot. Will's out of here, let's move on to Koga. Koga is going to be the first to fall victim to our Flare Blitzkrieg. A good portion of Koga's team is weak to the fire type, but honestly, we're hitting hard enough that I don't think it matters. We do miss the one-shot against Crobat while he sets up his evasiveness, but Shadow Claw cleans him up. And yeah, there isn't a lot to say about Koga. You can see that recoil damage from Flare Blitz definitely adding up as the fight goes on, but the Shell Bell is doing incredible work. Against his final Mach, we are not in Blaze range, but doesn't matter. We take him out in a single shot, but oof, that recoil damage drops us all the way down to 29 hit points. If it weren't for the recovery from Shell Bell, I do not think that recoil moves are viable for a solo runner. We definitely saw that in my recent stream with speedrunner 0218. Koga falls, let's talk about Brew no. Actually, I don't have much to say about Brew no. I mix in 2 close combats for his Onix and Machamp, and aside from that, Flare Blitz takes out his whole team. Rafiki is a serious powerhouse, wow. I hope you enjoy really accelerated footage, cause I'm done talking about Brew no. Oh, what's that? You're seeing super accelerated footage again? Karen is the Dark-type trainer, and she is not ready for our close combat carnage. I switch in a Flare Blitz here and there, obviously for Vileplume, for Gengar, you know, but for the most part, it's Stab super effective close combats tearing through her team. This first league had absolutely nothing on Rafiki. The league was one thing, but let's talk about that, air quotes, dragon-themed champion. Starting the battle off with another Gyarados problem, and only needing 2 moves for the entire league pretty much, I was able to hold on to Natural Gift. With a couple of Pecha Berries in reserve, I am able to use one here, taking out Gyarados. Close combat, unfortunately, then misses the one-shot against Aerodactyl. Remember that close combat is lowering our defenses every time we use it, so Aerodactyl responds with a heavy hit. I'm put onto my back foot, but we keep trying to fight through the battle. Unfortunately, with no held item and no Shell Bell recovery, we're overwhelmed by the damage that's coming our way. Jumping ahead 10 resets and as many minutes again, I have once again left the league to do a bit of grinding. Of course, I was just grinding against the league because they were so easy to defeat. I've also now tied into some of those rare candies we've collected, attempting the battle at level 67. That's as many candies as I had at the time. My natural gift strategies were just not adequate also, so I did stop at the game corner to pick up TM75 Swords Dance. You may notice that I do not have an egg move, but I will be incorporating that into the next run. I don't want every run to just turn into Swords Dance. As you can see though, even with that additional power, we're still getting bullied in this fight. 15 resets, and around 12 minutes after our first attempt, we're still going. What I'm trying now is pretty luck dependent. I'm trying to skip setting up against Gyarados entirely because his stab super effective waterfalls are way too painful. I'm using Shadow Claw against it right away, hoping for that high critical hit chance to take out Gyarados before he can hit me. We don't get that in this battle, and as a result, we are punished with a heavy waterfall. We have his lead out of the way, but we're already down to about a quarter health. At this point, I had reset so many times that I just went for it. Swords Dance. Aerodactyl hits a stab super effective Aerial Ace, leaving us at 1 hit point. Oh man, we're at +1 attack now! Shadow Claw then takes out Aerodactyl and the following Charizard in a single shot, recovering a little bit of health with the Shell Bell. You can actually see me freeze up here. Close Combat and Flare Blitz will both be resisted, and I was seriously doubting the range on Shadow Claw. At this level of health, we cannot take a hit. I go for Close Combat and it gets the one-shot, oh man! We restore a little bit of health, then going for Flare Blitz against the second Dragonite, dumb idea. But the recoil takes us to 2 hit points, then bouncing back to 22 thanks to the Shell Bell. We're still one-shotting. I switch back to Close Combat for the final Dragonite, and we take him out. What a battle that was! Just a reminder, Lance is pathetic in round 1 compared to his round 2 team. Rafiki though, what a monster! The Dragonite that I used the Flare Blitz against was the ace, and I was doubting the range. We were definitely in Blaze range, which is why I went for the higher damage Flare Blitz. I'm just so happy that worked out. Rafiki clocks in with a round 1 time of 2 hours, 7 minutes, and 41 seconds at level 67 with 39 resets. This took 6 hours and 28 minutes of game time. Because we are clearly a powerhouse and many of the Kanto gyms are not going to hold a candle against us, I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. I'll focus in on any battles that we had trouble with, but here's the overarching Kanto story. Lieutenant Surge is a series of one-shots, Sabrina is a series of one-shots, Misty manages to tag me with a Water Pulse, but is a series of one-shots otherwise, Erica, obviously one-shots, Janine is a series of one-shots, then Brock is a series of one-shots, and to nobody's surprise, Blaine is a series of one-shots. Seriously though, Close Combat just kind of won the game. Obviously, I was mixing in the occasional Flare Blitz and Shadow Claw for the coverage, but wow, Close Combat. We'll just add that to the list of favorite things in Generation 4 so far. But that pretty much summarizes the Kanto adventure. Blue always seems to be the most menacing of the gym leaders in Kanto, so let's actually check that battle out. I think this battle will just go to show you how easily Rafiki cruised through Kanto. Once again, with a combination of Flare Blitz and Close Combat, we're able to one-shot his entire team. Oh, wait, I might have spoken a bit early. Gyarados survives, but only sets up a Dragon Dance, so we take him out with no consequence. It's kinda cool to see some of these battles where some Pokemon struggle with them immensely, but then others like Rafiki here just cruise right through. It's not often within a generation of starters that the Fire type feels like the most solid to me, but I think Piplup has its work cut out for it next week. Blue falls with no problem at all, collecting our 16th badge, unlocking the Round 2 Elite Four and Red battle. First, let's head to the league. I definitely feel like if this was a Super Smash Bros. Run, I'd be getting the Stale Moves modifier. Bronzong gets eliminated by a stab super effective Flare Blitz followed by a Shadow Claw for Grumpig. I suspected that Slowbro was going to use a turn to set up against us, as that's what she seems to do with Curse. I used that opportunity to set up a Sword Stance myself, then slashing through Will's team with super effective +2 Shadow Claw. I know that this team, especially Gardevoir, is going to be very threatening to me at some point, but it is not this day! Will was as easy as last time. Let's check out Koga. I have a touch of a stumble against Koga initially, but don't worry, I figure it out. It takes me a second, but I decided to go for Sword Stance turn 1, but then Skuntank decided to go underground. Well, fine then, I guess I'll take a second turn of Sword Stance. Much to my surprise, after he hits us with a super effective dig, our +4 Shadow Claw does not do inspiring damage. Oh right, this thing is Dark type, it's resisted. I can be taught. Slowly. We're pretty low on health, but honestly, do you think that's gonna matter? Thanks once again to the recovery of Shellbell, we're able to smash through the rest of his party, recovering back into green bar by the end of the battle. I will quickly mention that thanks to all of your comments, I will be catching the Snorlax from now on. However, when I recorded this run, I had not yet released Turtwig. Your tips and tricks are much appreciated, and I will be introducing them as I go. Alright, let's just flip through the notebook here. No, I don't see any notes for Bruno. Oh, that's right, because I set up with SD while Hitmontop goes for counter, and then we one-shot his whole team. I feel so bad about bullying this team because Lucario is on it, and Lucario is so cool. I cannot wait to run that Pokemon through because I'm guessing it's gonna be a little bit like Rafiki here. Absolute domination. Bruno is out of here. Let's move on to no, not Agatha, Karen. Karen in this game. Once again, we're faced with a battle that is not going to be a problem for us. I decided to chance setting up to +2 against Weavile, who responds with a low kick. That low kick was so pathetic that I'm gonna set up a second Sword Stance. Now, once again, it's a combination of Flare Blitz and Close Combat, tearing through her team one Pokemon at a time. There's something to be said about the fun factor of just setting up and sweeping. I recognize that it might not be the most interesting strategy all the time, but gosh is it fun. It seems that both the Round 1 and Round 2 leagues were no match for Rafiki. Lance, though, was a fair problem last time, and in this round, he truly feels like a Dragon Master. Now, I'm gonna tell you something about Salamence as a lead. Salamence is bad, okay? He's gonna intimidate us at the start of every battle, and let me tell you something about Intimidate. Intimidate is bad, okay? It seems that once again, the Dragon Master is gonna be putting a firm stop to our progress. Salamence picks Rafiki apart without us being able to accomplish much at all. As it just so happens though, I just spent the last few minutes beating up the Kanto League, gaining a few TMs along the way. One of those was TM80 Rock Slide from Brock. I taught it between battles, and seeing the range of damage that Salamence was doing to me, I made a super risky choice. I set up all the way to +6, +5 because of the Intimidate, getting taken down to only 9 hit points. +5 super effective Rock Slide one-shot Salamence. Gyarados is out next, intimidating us once again down to +4, but once again, +4 super effective Rock Slide takes him out in a single shot. Next on the field is Garchomp, who I am genuinely terrified of. Come on, Close Combat! We get the one-shot. Charizard is out next, and this is the time when the bad luck decided to come. We missed 2 Rock Slides in a row against him, but I could not have imagined a better time for the bad luck to come. Charizard did not accomplish much with the 2 free turns that we gave him, so a +4, 4 times super effective Rock Slide brings down the Gen 1 starter. Altaria is out next, taking another one-shot, but then the Ace Dragonite hits the field. +4 is not enough for the one-shot against this bulky pseudo, but we leave him in red bar. He had gone for Draco Meteor, which missed, but wow, after a couple of close combats, I don't know if we would have survived that. We take him out on the next turn, securing our victory over the Round 2 champion. So as I'm looking back at this, as much fun as it is to just stomp through with Sword Stance, I think I will try to avoid it a little bit more actively in future runs. Don't worry, you will see it again. I just want to invest a little bit of effort into checking out different kinds of strategies. After all, this initial series is all about figuring out this game. Rafiki clocks in with a round 2 time of 2 hours, 44 minutes, and 55 seconds, barely, at level 79 with 40 resets. This took 8 hours and 50 minutes of game time. Alright, and that leaves us one final trainer way up at the tippy top of Mount Silver. We are facing Red. Once again, the blizzard is in full effect because that's just how it is. Let's see how Rafiki does against the most powerful trainer in the game. There's great news as we start the battle. We not only outspeed Pikachu, but we one-shot. Unfortunately, because close combat seems to make contact, imagine that, we get the 30% chance to be paralyzed by static. Hard nope. I'm gonna reset. After a second paralysis from static, we actually get to see a little further into the battle. Blastoise comes out next, and I immediately go for close combat, leaving him at a sliver. He responds with a Focus Blast that misses, thankfully, and gets taken out by the hail damage. Okay, that felt fairly dangerous, but then against Lapras, our Stab super effective close combat takes it out in a single shot. Charizard is out next, so I go for that Rock Slide, and we miss. You gotta love the 90% accuracy. Because of the close combats that we've unleashed so far in this battle, our defense stat is in the toilet. Charizard just throws a neutral Dragon Pulse at us and ends the battle. After a few more attempts, I've switched up what I'm doing against Blastoise. Also, there have been 2 more resets due to static. For whatever reason, Blastoise does not seem to want to go for Hydro Pump, instead focusing on Focus Blast most of the time. It turns out that Focus Blast cannot take us out in a single shot, so I'm using the first turn against Blastoise to set up Sword Stance. At +2, our close combat absolutely knocks him out, and thankfully this time, we do not miss the Charizard. Once the big bad Zard is out of the way, it's no surprise that +2 stab super effective close combat absolutely obliterates Snorlax's HP pool. Look at that chunk of health that we just got back from the Shell Bell. Wow. Venusaur is out last, and one final +2 stab super effective Flare Blitz roasts him. Red has fallen. I sincerely hope that I find more Pokemon where Red is that straightforward, but something makes me doubt it. I have already played Piplup at this point, and yeah, the methodology is changing already. Rafiki defeats Red with a final time of 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 16 seconds at level 80 with 48 resets. So as I show my super empty looking SoulSilver tier list so far, I have to mention that methodology change. Originally, I was planning to have Red as the final conclusion time of the run, but like I said, I've played Piplup already. Red is awful. You'll see just what I mean by that next week, but for now, I have to come up with a way to rank these guys. I've decided that defeating the Round 2 Elite Four is gonna be our cutoff point, with Red being kind of a bonus battle. Yeah, it was that bad. Also, be sure to take these finish times with a grain of salt. I am very much still learning this game. Going by how they felt to play, Chimchar was definitely the more solid Pokemon to run. Compared to Turtwig anyway. I'll let Piplup speak for itself next week. I want to extend a special thank you to those of you generous enough to support the channel through YouTube memberships, Patreon, and Super Chat. Your support makes these videos possible, so I can continue to put as much effort as possible into producing this content for everyone out there to enjoy. From the bottom of my shell, thank you so much. And thank you for making it to the end of the video. Watching until the end of the video, your engagement and subscriptions all help my channel so much. The almighty algorithm determines how my videos are promoted, and your engagement informs that algorithm. If you feel like I've earned it, leave a like and comment about the run, what you'd like to see in the future, or just to say hi. Bonjour! If you'd like to keep up with my future releases, be sure to subscribe and enable notifications to never miss a video. I am super excited to announce that next week we will be streaming once again with Scott's Thoughts. I mean, come on, we had to do Venusaur. We will be joining Scott for his usual stream time of 11 AM Mountain Time, or 2 hours before my typical start time. I will make a post of this so that we all remember. Then, as I mentioned, join me next Friday to see how Piplup handles SoulSilver. Until next time, take care everyone.